I watched a beautiful video yesterday called Mission Joy. It's just a conversation between Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And there were a couple of scenes in that movie that really spoke to me. One was both of them discussing what it was like to grow up as themselves. The Dalai Lama was taken away from his family at a very young age and was raised really in a monastery there in Tibet, and didn't have a whole lot of companionship at his age, for his age, and just that loneliness, and then ultimately losing his country, losing his homeland to the Chinese invasion, and the suffering that he was involved in, the suffering that he felt in watching his homeland be attacked and bombed like that, and being taken over, and watching his culture of peace really and of love, a very strong Buddhist ideal of a nation, be dismantled, a nation without really much of an army, because they just didn't believe in violence. And Desmond Tutu, growing up with a violent father, the father was actually a very nice man, except when he was drunk, he said, and then he would beat his mother, and he would have to witness that. Growing up in apartheid, as a less than second-rate citizen in his own country, and then watching the uprising and seeing his people murdered in the streets, for a complete lack of justice. And that's really how the two came together, was the fact that they both used their suffering, used their hardship, used their difficult life to forge a beautiful compassion for people in general. And just to see the beautiful looks on their face when they dealt with people that encountered them during the movie was so very touching. And this relationship, this beautiful friendship between two people that grew up in utterly different worlds, Desmond Tutu growing up in absolute poverty in South Africa, and the Dalai Lama growing up in Tibet in a 1,000-room palace, two very different countries, cultures, races, religions, Desmond Tutu being an archbishop, and of course the Dalai Lama being who he is, that they came together, which brings me to the second beautiful scene that I really enjoyed watching, and that was seeing Desmond Tutu serve communion to the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama accepting that communion, taking that communion, and even loosening one of the rules of his life about not drinking alcohol, being willing to dip his finger into the communion wine and put it on his tongue as taking it. But I just love that lack of judgmentality between them. They joked about it, together, made light of it. But you could see the love and joy that they gave each other in their lives and in their loves. And both of them speaking to the means of generating a joy, of experiencing a joyous life, given such difficult circumstances, given such difficulties. And how they really married that to my first point, in that to allow suffering to open your heart to others, and then turning your focus away from yourself, to give joy and comfort to others, and to live your life, to leave this world a better place than you found it. Kind of an addendum to that old adage, leave the campsite cleaner than you found it. In this world, don't come here and cause more trouble, more strife. Come here and give comfort, give love, give yourself, to leave this planet a better place. Our stay here is nominal, maybe 100 years for those who live a long life. So what will you do with your suffering? What will I do with my suffering? Will we become victims, sufferers, close down, protect ourselves, hate the people that oppressed us, or hate the people that caused our suffering? It is a choice. And they made that very, very clear.